There's a number on your receipt the store hopes you never do the math on. Take your last grocery total. Now imagine tearing off nearly half of it and dropping it in the parking lot trash on your way to the car. That's not a joke, and it's not exaggeration for a video. Between what rots in your fridge and what you overpaid for the second you scanned it, close to 40% of your grocery money never becomes a single meal you actually eat. The average family throws out $1,600 in produce alone every year. Just produce, just the stuff that goes soft in the drawer before anybody touches it. And that's before we count the markups. 11 things are doing most of the damage, and I'll take them in 2 waves because there are 2 different crimes happening here. The first 6 are the overpay, where you hand the store a fortune for almost nothing. The last 5 are the rot, where you buy something that looked like a bargain and then watched it die in your refrigerator. Different problem, same hole in your wallet. Let's start with the overpay because it makes people the maddest the fastest. The cut fruit is the most brazen one in the whole store. That container of cubed melon, the sliced apples in the little tub, the pineapple already in chunks, you're paying on average a 40% markup for the labor of a knife. Somebody stood at a table and cut it, and you're covering their wage, the profit, and the plastic tub. 40%. And here's the insult on top of the injury. Cut fruit spoils faster than whole because every place the knife went is an open door for rot. So you pay more for something that dies sooner. A whole pineapple's $3 or $4. The same thing in chunks is $8 or $9. Prepared meat is the same racket, only worse. The chicken pre-cubed for a stir-fry, the beef already sitting in marinade. That carries about a 60% markup over the identical cut, lying 3 feet away in the case. 60% for a splash of sauce and some seasoning you almost certainly already own. Now, let me stop and tell you who's talking because it matters to what comes next. My name's Doreen. I'm 74, and I've done the grocery shopping since I was 20. 54 years of pushing a cart down these aisles. But that's only half of it. My husband, Henry, spent his working life managing a grocery store, and he knows exactly where the money hides in that building. The markups, the shelf tricks, what gets tossed in the back that you never see. Most of what I'm about to tell you is his knowledge and my 54 years put together. All right, back to it. Bottled water is the one that should genuinely offend you. The markup on packaged water has been pegged at around 4,000%. Sit with that because it's not a typo and I didn't add a 0 by mistake. 4,000. Water, the thing running out of every tap in your house for a fraction of a penny, a glass, repackaged, trucked across the country, and sold back to you at a multiple that'd make a jeweler blush. A case vanishes in a few days and you buy another. One reusable bottle and a cheap pitcher filter for the fridge erases the whole habit and pays for itself inside a month. If your tap genuinely tastes bad, the filter fixes that too, for pennies a gallon. Coffee pods deserve a hard look this year especially. The little single-serve cartridges feel efficient, but priced per actual cup, they run 2 to 3 times a regular pot, and they chain you to one machine that only takes its own overpriced refills. That'd be foolish in any year. It's especially foolish in 2026 because coffee itself is climbing, commodity prices high, fresh tariffs on top, and the forecasters expecting beverage prices up another 5% before the year's out. You don't want a convenience premium stacked on top of an inflation premium on the same cup. A plain drip machine and a can of ground coffee gets you the identical caffeine for a fraction of the per cup cost, and it doesn't hold your mornings hostage. Store brand versus name brand is the boring one that quietly outweighs all the flashy ones, precisely because it's every item, every week. A big slice of what you pay for a national brand covers the commercials that talked you into it. You're funding the ad that sold you. On the plain staples, flour, sugar, salt, baking soda, canned beans, dried pasta. The store brand is frequently the same product from the same supplier in a plainer bag. Henry used to say the difference between the two labels was mostly the marketing budget and the shelf placement, and he'd know because he decided the shelf placement. Switching the staples you rebuy constantly can shave up to a third off those lines. Read the unit price, the tiny per ounce number on the shelf edge, not the big front sticker they designed to look cheap. And the sixth overpay is the pre-assembled snack and party tray, the charcuterie board wrapped in plastic, the cheese and cracker packs, the veggie platter with the dip well in the middle. You're paying a steep premium for arrangement. A small pre-built board is $15 to $20 for a few dollars of cheese, crackers, and meat you could set on a plate yourself in the time it takes to find your keys. The arrangement isn't the value. The food is the value, and the food is cheap when you buy it as food, so that's the overpay. 6 ways the store charges you a premium for work you could do yourself in minutes. Now the second crime, which is sneakier, because on these you didn't overpay at the register at all. You got a fair price. You just never ate the thing. And uneaten food isn't a discount. It's a total loss. Bag salad and pre-washed greens are the #1 killer here, and it's not close. Those clamshells and bags of mixed greens are practically engineered to betray you. Washed, cut, sealed in a humid plastic box, already partway through dying when you buy them. You get maybe 3 or 4 days before the bottom layer turns to green slime, and half the box is gone before you've made a second salad. A head of romaine or a bunch of hardy greens keeps a week and a half, costs less, and you tear what you need when you need it. The bag isn't selling you salad. It's selling you a countdown timer. Fresh herbs in those little plastic clamshells are almost as bad. You need 2 sprigs of cilantro for a recipe. You buy a whole clamshell. The other 90% goes black and soupy in the crisper within the week, every single time. This one's practically designed for waste because recipes call for small amounts and stores only sell large ones. So pick your speed. Buy the dried version for anything cooked, where the difference barely registers. Grow a pot of the ones you use most on a windowsill. Or, if you must buy fresh, chop the leftovers and freeze them in a little oil in an ice cube tray so they're there next month instead of in the bin. Berries are the heartbreaker because everyone buys them with good intentions, and a stack still ends up furry. Fresh berries mold fast, sometimes within 2 or 3 days, and once one goes, the whole container turns. You pay a premium for fruit with one of the shortest lives in the store. If you'll genuinely eat them in the next day or 2, wonderful, buy fresh. But for anything beyond that, smoothies, oatmeal, baking, snacking over weeks, frozen berries win in every measurable way. Picked and frozen at peak ripeness, often cheaper than fresh, and they don't rot. A bag in the freezer is berries in January. A clamshell in the fridge is often just mold with a receipt. Bulk perishables are where good, frugal instincts turn against you, and I watch careful people fall for this constantly. The giant club store bag, the buy one get one on something fresh, the 10-pound sack, the per unit price is genuinely lower, so it feels like the disciplined choice. But a lower price per pound means nothing if you throw a third of it out. 2 people can't finish a warehouse tub of spring mix or a 5-pound bag of grapes before it turns. And the moment you bin the leftovers, your bargain per pound price quietly climbs higher than if you just bought the small one. Bulk's only a deal on things that keep: rice, dried beans, paper goods, frozen, canned. On fresh, buy what you'll actually eat before it dies, even when the big bag taunts you with its better sticker. And the last one isn't really an item at all. It's the date label, and it fools nearly everybody. Best by, sell by, use by. Most people treat these as a hard cliff and toss perfectly good food the day it hits. They mostly aren't safety dates. They're the manufacturer's guess at peak quality. Confusion over these labels drives more than $10 billion a year in wasted food nationally. Good, sealed, fine food thrown out on a misread. Yogurt, eggs, milk, hard cheese, most pantry goods are commonly fine well past the printed date if they've been stored right and they look, smell, and taste normal. Learn the difference. Use by is the one closest to an actual safety line. The others are quality guesses. And trust your own eyes and nose the way people did for the entire span of human history before a date got stamped on a carton. Henry used to watch the store toss pallets of food that was perfectly good purely because a date had passed and policy was policy. He hated it. That single habit, trusting your senses over the stamp, rescues more money than any coupon you'll ever clip. So let me put the whole thing back together. The first 6, cut fruit, prepared meat, bottled water, coffee pods, name brands, pre-made trays, are the overpay. You fix those at the shelf. By refusing to pay a premium for work you can do yourself in minutes. The last 5, bag salad, clamshell herbs, fresh berries, bulk perishables, and the misread date, are the rot. You fix those by buying for the life of the food instead of the look of the deal, and trusting your senses over a stamp. Do even half of it, and that 40% starts shrinking fast, not because you're eating less or living smaller, but because you stopped paying for plastic tubs, marketing budgets, and food you were always going to throw out. The money was never really feeding you. It was feeding the store's margins and your garbage can, in roughly equal measure. One thing worth doing this week: save your next grocery receipt, and when you get home, circle everything on it that was cut, washed, marinated, portioned, or arranged for you. Just circle it. Don't change a thing yet. Add up the circles. That number is your convenience tax for one trip, and once you've seen it in your own handwriting on your own receipt, you won't be able to unsee it. Tell me down in the comments what your circled number came to and which store it was, because these markups run different depending on where you shop, and I'm curious where the worst offenders are. Next time I'll go the other direction. The handful of expensive items that are actually worth every penny, where buying the cheap version is the real waste, because frugal was never about always grabbing the cheapest thing. It's about knowing which corners cost you later. Henry taught me that too.